Chair, tanong natin kay Colonel Garma. Upon hearing yung mga testimonies, tapos meron nga rin po siyang pinuntahang mga lamay ng mga naging biktima ng war on drugs sa ilalim ng kanyang pamumuno bilang Cebu City Police Chief. Mr. Chair, ang tanong po natin, so sa ngayon po ba ay kaya ng panindigan, kaya ng i-confirm ni Colonel Garma na may mga pinatay na mga inosente, pati mga bata sa Cebu City under her watch as Cebu City Police Chief bilang bahagi ng pagpapatupad nila ng anti-drug operations?
Mr. Chair, can I expound on my answer, Mr. Chair?
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Please
Thank you,
proceed.
sir. Pag pumunta po kayo na Cebu, maglakad kayo from Pasil hanggang sa kaduluduluhan po na boundary ng Mandawi at lahat po ng bahay diyan dikit-dikit, as in dikit-dikit gawa ng kahoy. Nung dumating po ako, ang droga, para lang po siyang betchin at asin na binebenta sa gilid. Ang sugal, parang wala lang. Nasa tabi lahat ng lamay, puro sugal. Pugaran po talaga siya ng lahat po ng klase ng vices. Hindi ko po ginajudge po lahat na nakatira po doon. Siguro sa kahirapan talaga, ganun po yung naging status ng buhay. Meron naman pong nabubuhay na tahimik din at marangal. Pero sinasabi ko po, dikit-dikit talaga. It is a, anong tawag dito, talagang anong level sa drugs yun? I cannot recall, Mr. Chair. May classification po kasi yan. Now, I think yung mga operation na nangyari, those are conducted by the police station. I was not there because may mga station commanders in charge per area. Sila po yung nag-conduct ng police operation. Ako po
Mr. Chair, interrupt ko na Mr. Chair kasi ang tanong po natin dito ay ano ang role ng chief ng Cebu City Police. And Mr. Chair, hindi po pwedeng ang ituro na lang dito ay yung mga police na nag-conduct ng drug operations dahil ang chief meron niyang pananagutan kung ano yung ginagawa at ano yung mga hindi ginawa, ano yung mga nilabag ng mga nasa ilalim niya. Kaya Mr. Chair, again, hanggang sa ngayon, parang wala pa rin kasing ka-remorse ang dating police chief. Nasa harapan na po niya mismo ang mga pamilya ng mga biktima. Grabe na yung pag-iyak, kahit tayo mga nakikinig, naiyak na rin sa mga kwento nila. Pero hanggang ngayon, Mr. Chair, ay hindi pa rin nag-own up ang dating police chief. Kahit yung simpleng factual na tanong na merong mga inosenteng napatay, na may mga nagte-testify sa harap niya, hindi pa rin niya talaga masagot ng diretsahan, Mr. Chair. So, parang di natin maisip ano yung pwede nating asahan dahil kung ganito ka tigas at hindi talaga nais na magsabi ng kung ano ba talaga yung mga nangyari, edi lalong ang dating sa committee na ito, complicit talaga dun sa mga krimen, sa crimes against humanity, si Colonel Garma. At in fact, sa case na sinampa sa ICC, can NUPL confirm? Again, para lang ma-refresh yung committee na ito sa lahat ng mga narito at sa mga nakikinig din, na bahagi po ba ng mga napangalanan doon sa ICC cases si Colonel Garma?
In particular kay Colonel Garma, hindi po. But the ICC in its result for preliminary examination mentioned General Albayalde, General Bato de la Rosa, the regional, provincial, and city police units. So, ibig sabihin, pwede siyang maisama doon. So, that's one, perpetration. Pangalawa, yan kasi under sa ICC at the very least, Mr. Chair, sa rules of engagement nila in relation sa sinabi ni Colonel Marcos kanina, klarong nakalagay, for every death in any police operations, dapat ma-inquest. They never did the inquest. Kaya pag tinanong mo yan sila, so ilan ang namatay sa territory mo during your stint, sabihin nila yung numbers, tapos inimbestigahan mo ba? Wala. walang inquest kasi, Mr. Chair, in violation even of their rules of engagement. So for all those things, they can also be held sa ICC for command responsibility. As nabanggit ko kanina, na isang kung baga crime under command responsibility at the very least, if they're not the perpetrators, for their failure or refusal to investigate killings during their watch in police operations, Mr. Chair.
So to clarify, Mr. Chair, sa final ng mga pamilya ng mga biktima, hindi explicitly napangalanan si Colonel Garma.
Yes,
Pero ICC ang
itself said
nag-float.
that the regional, provincial, and city police units are included in the investigation, Mr. Chair. So
So, ibig sabihin, pwedeng imbestigahan ng ICC
Yes.
si Colonel Garma.
definitely so, Mr. Chair.
E di kung ganun, Mr. Chair, na hindi pa rin talaga kasi nagpapakita ng remorse kahit katiting si Colonel Garma, e di damay talaga siya dun sa mga mananagot eventually sa mga napatay under the war on drugs na pinatupad as ito labeled as the Project Double Barrel based sa Command Memorandum Circular 16 Series of 2016. So I would now wrap up with my interpellation, and so far based dun sa mga narinig natin at actually sa maraming oportunidad na nabigay natin kay Colonel Garma, pinapakita talaga nito na meron siyang papel, hindi siya isang small fish dito sa peke at madugong war on drugs. Isa talaga siya sa mga nagpatupad nito, kaya dapat lamang na meron ding kaukulang pananagutan sa kanya at paano din natin lalong matitiyak yung mga mekanismo para sa hustisya talaga dun sa mga biktima through our current mechanisms at paano pa yan maayos sa pamamagitan ng pagpapatupad ng mga mas matitibay at may pangil na mga batas. So, masin muna, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat.
Okay, thank you, Congressman Manuel. Yes, Congressman Abante.
Yes, kanina po sa testimony ni Raquel Lopez, sa sinabi niya na nagpunta sa kanila si Colonel Garma at ang katwiran po ni Colonel Garma, siya po ay nag-rekurida paggabi. Ano po? At sinabi niya na sumigaw si Colonel Garma. Pakiulit nga po, Miss Lopez, ang ginawa ni Colonel Garma doon sa inyong bahay, noong lamay.
Anara siya nga, pag-agi niya sa buha nga, nganong gibilaran maninin niyo? Mo to nga, wamay ko kinanagan mga tao. Ni anara dayon, ni ana siya nga, bakit isa lang patay dito? Marami sila. Mora to, Your Honor.
Okay. Naintindihan ko naman, no, ang iba, ang Tagalog, no. So, Colonel Garma, iyo bang tinatanggap yung sabi ni Raquel Lopez tungkol sa insidenteng yan? O hindi mo maalala?
Mr. Chair, hindi ko talaga style magsabi ng ganun. Kaya it's not part of my vocabulary. Kaya wala akong maalalang may sinabi po ako. Definitely. Kasi pag ganyan mga nakaburol, I am more focused sa sugal. At nagsinasabi ko, ipagdasal ang namatay. Pero yung sinasabi po niya, wala akong maalala because it's not my style when I go around at may patay po.
Colonel Garma, palagi mo nababanggit yung imbis na magsugal kayo, magdasal.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Relihiyosong tao ka pala.
I pray, Mr. Chair, yes.
I'm not saying that you're not praying. Sinasabi mo na the thing is, dito naman sa ating sa Pilipinas halos lahat ng namamatayan may sugal eh. Alam niyo kung ba't may sugal? Alam niyo kung ba't may sugal? Alam niyo ba kung bakit may sugal pag namamatayan?
Dalawa po ang reason.
Anong reason?
Pagkakaalam ko po, para gising po yung magbantay and or para po may fundraising. Yun ang
Yan.
pagkakaintindi ko po aside from
The thing is, ang alam ko dyan, ako, bilang congressman, nagpapatay po ako Halos lahat, 90% ng mga namamatayan nagusugal dapat sapagkat doon sa mahihirap sa mayayaman wala eh. Bakit po? Sapagkat doon lamang sila kumikita para mapalibing nila yung kanilang patay.
Tama, Your Honor.
Oh, see? Yun ang sinasabi ko sa inyo. Oo. Ngayon, ako nagdadasal din ako eh. Pero palagay nyo kaya yung kanyang pagdadasal, ibibigay nyo yung pera para ipalibing yung tao? Hindi naman eh. Ibig sabihin yan, sinasabi nyo, huwag kayong magsugal, nagsasalita na kayo doon. Sinasabihan nyo yung mga tao. Sinasabihan nyo, huwag na kayong magsugal, magsasala lang kayo. Sinasabihan nyo yung mga tao. Tama ba ako? Hindi. Sinasabihan nyo.
Mr. Chair, there's nothing wrong kung magsabi ko
Well,
na
hindi
talaga. Kasi sir,
sabing there's something wrong. Tanay lang.
Okay po.
Hindi ko sinasabing there's something wrong. Ang tanong ko ito. Therefore, nagsasalita kayo doon sa lamay at sinasabi nyo sa mga nagsusugal, o wag na kayong magsugal, magdasal na lang kayo. Tama ba ako? Hindi.
yes po, Mr.
Yung pala
Chair.
naman eh, ibig sabihin, nabanggit nyo rin doon yung sinasabi ni Raquel. Palagay nyo kaya itong si Raquel Lopez ang isinungaling para sabihin sa inyo ngayon yan? Nag-travel pa ho yan galing Cebu. Iniwan ang kanyang pamilya. Namasahe po papunta dito. Oh, para lamang humarap sa inyo. Oh, natatakot nga eh. Sinabi nga nila, si Baby Rosales, sinabi si Raquel Lopez, nung kayo nag-appear doon eh, nagpulasan ng mga tao eh. Tama ba ako? Nag-alisan yung mga tao. Ibig sabihin, yung iyo lamang presence, natatakot na yung mga tao. Yan o, sinabi nila eh. Dalawa yan nagsasabi. Na ang sabi, kapag ikaw napupunta sa patay, nagpupulasan ang mga tao sapagkat natatakot sa iyo. Yun ang ibig sabihin nun eh. Ano ba namang sabihin mo na totoo yung nangyari niyan eh? Sapagkat ikaw naman ang chief police, ikaw ang direktor. Oh, alam mo ang nangyayari. Colonel Garma, nais lang natin ditong makita yung katotohanan at malaman natin kung sino talagang dapat na responsible dito. Namatayan itong mga to eh. Kaya nga sinasabi ko sa inyo, umiiyak ka dito sapagkat may iwanan mo yung anak mo, buhay yung anak mo eh. Ito patay itong mga to eh. Oh, tinan nyo ha, meron ako natanggap na sulat dito. Urgent motion to allow Rina Garma to undergo medical check-up. Ito nakalagay. Ano ang isang sinabi dito? Movement's request is premised on her basic human right to health and her constitutional right to life. Naniniwala ba kayo na meron din silang constitutional right? To life? Miss Colonel Garma, naniniwala ba kayo ron?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Napatay yung kanilang kamag-anak eh. Napatay yung kanilang kamag-anak, na-violate ang kanilang constitutional right. Tama o ba mali?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
O yun pala naman eh, tinatanggap mo na na-violate ang kanilang constitutional right. So, Mr. Chair, yan o. Dito, binasa ko dito ang iyong karapatan. At nais nyo na i-approve namin itong sulat na ito sapagkat meron kayong karapatan as provided for by the Constitution at yung aming yung ating Constitution. Gayon din sila, meron din karapatan itong mga taon to. Anong ginawa ninyo? Pwede niyong pigilan yung mga pulis nyo eh. Anong ginawa ninyo ng mga ibang kapulisan dito? Tinanggal nyo ang kanilang constitutional right. Lahat tayo meron yan, Colonel Garma. Tama ba ako?
Can I explain, Mr. Chair? Kasi,
What are you going to explain for?
You are asking, kanina po nagtanong din po si...
Hindi, tinatanong kita,
Congressman.
tama ba na na-violate ang kanilang constitutional right?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, yun lang. Gusto kong sagot mo. Mr. Chair, salamat.
Thank you, Congressman Abante. The next to interpolate is Congressman Dan Fernandez.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, kay Raquel Lopez. Ma'am, a while ago, we heard na sinabi niyo po kanina na bakit nilalamay yung patay na binanggit ni Colonel Garma. Is this true? na bakit nilalamay yung
O
patay?
tinuod, Your Honor.
Na, so,
nagsabi siya nga, bakit isa lang patay dito? Marami sila.
marami sila.
Hindi, wala dyan ako nakalimti na yung isulti, Your Honor.
So parang,
Kasabot man ko kay, bisag Tagalog to gamay, kasabot man ko.
okay. At si baby, ano naman, si baby Rosales? Rosales, I heard you were saying yung sinasabi mo, yung nakiramay naman siya at nagpadala ng bulaklak. Correct?
Hindi po.
Ano yung sinabi niyo po kanina?
Nagpunta lang po siya doon. Galing po siya sa Karakil.
Okay.
Galing siya doon. Pagpunta niya doon, siyempre yung mga tao, nakita sa mata, marami kasi sila mga pulis. Di, tumatakbo. At saka yung lamisa, tinumba. Nga sabi pa niya sabi niya doon, ayaw niyang pag-asugalan yung patay. Gusto niya yung pag-sasalan.
Okay.
Oo,
So
sabi.
inalis niya yung sugal, tinumba niya, tapos sinabi niya, dapat walang sugal. Kailangan,
Oo. Yung patay, pag-dasalan
Oo.
daw.
Pagdasal.
Oo.
Okay.
Maya, malis na po sila.
Sino siya? Siya mismo, si Garma? Si Colonel
Oo,
Garma?
siya po. At saka yung mga niya, mga kasamahan.
Colonel Garma, nagawa mo ba yan? Nagawa mo yan? Considering that ikaw
Yes, Mr. Chair, kasi almost every night po, umiikot ako para makita ko yung sitwasyon po dun sa area po, Cebu City.
okay, binabasa namin yung yung affidavit mo that you have
Mr. Chair, bago
Yes.
yun, with your indulgence, can I just ask
Yes,
one question?
sure.
Colonel Garma, ganito yun eh. Ako, alam mo, ayaw ko din ng sugal eh. Kalaban ko ang isabong, kalaban ko ang pogo eh. Ayaw ko ng sugal, illegal man o illegal. Ayaw mo rin, di ba? Ayaw mo ng sugal? Tama ako?
Yes po, Mr.
Ba't ka naging manager ng PCSO?
It's different. Can I explain
Sugal
that?
yun eh. Huwag na mag-explain.
Yes.
Sugal yun eh.
Because it's for it's a lottery game
Hindi
for...
pinag-uusapan yan. Ang pinag-uusapan natin, sugal. Tama ba ako mali?
The question kasi po is...
Ang pinag-uusapan
You can
natin, sugal, Colonel Garma.
generally, Mr. Chair, yes, ayoko po.
Ay, nako.
Generally.
Okay, yun lang.
Yes, okay. Colonel Garma, maikli naman itong affidavit mo. And kanina, nabigla din kami dahil nga meron kaming na-receive na affidavit coming from you. And probably it's just right that we discuss itong sinumpaang salaysay mo. Can you kindly narrate to us kung ano itong mga... Kasi pag binabasa ko, parang
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
point of order. Tapos na po ba tayo sa mga victims ng EJK? Kasi a while ago, the Honorable Manuel was prevented from asking questions regarding that affidavit. So, Mr. Chair, what are we going to do first?
Based on the list that I have, the interpellators for the victims or the victims' families, the last was Congressman Dan Fernandez, and there are two more interpellators, Congressman Lordan Suwan and Congressman Ray Reyes. So we will proceed, we will continue with the victims, and then go back to the affidavit. So Congressman Fernandez, can you hold your peace for a while?
No problem, Mr. Chairman. I just thought that I'm the last to interpret,
Yeah,
and that's the reason why I
it's my
asked
bad,
them, and
my
then
bad.
there's no more,
Mr. Chair.
interpellators, and that's the reason why I'm going to open up the affidavit that we just received.
Okay,
Just this
okay.
moment.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
there's a request that if we already finished in interpolating the victims, if they could be able to go, Mr. Chair. That's the request.
I guess,
don't know.
yes, I guess. I think it's the Rise Up Philippines who took care of them, coming here, and will also take care of them going back to Cebu. So we still have two more interpellators for the victims. So this is Congressman Lordan Suwan.
Mr. Chair, my questions are for Ms. Roy Nagarma,
Okay.
not for the
Okay,
victims.
copy. Thank you. And Congressman Ray Reyes. Is Congressman Ray Reyes still around? No, since he's not here, then therefore that concludes the interpellations on the victims. Then we will now proceed with the affidavit submitted to the Quad Committee by Colonel Ruina Garma. In the meantime, the
Sir Chair,
Family.
may we excuse
Yes.
the Rise Up and
Mr.
other victims probably?
Chair.
Yes,
Kasi
thank you.
iba na po yung topic natin
That is
ngayon.
correct, yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I,
Thank you.
before they go, can I make a statement? Just brief, sir.
Sige, make it brief and
Yes,
short.
sir.
Ha?
Sa tanan biktima, katong panahon nga ako
Tagalog, in Tagalog. Speak
Bisaya
to them,
kasi
sir.
kasabot sila Bisaya, sir. Katong tanang biktima, wala na ako control tanan na akong tao. Yes, it is true I am the city director. But lahat ng station commander are also tasked to implement the war on drugs. Merong mga station commander in charge. Now, pangutanan ninyo ang sa ako gibuhat as city director. During that time, tanan sila, ginahatagan na mong seminar, ginatudluan na ako. Kaya pag abot na ako sa Cebu City, talaga wala good sila kabalo. Unsa ang pagbuhat, usa buhaton. That is why, pag nainahitabo sa inyo ha, at it appears na mga pulis na ako ang involved, ginatas ang NBI to take cognizance so that kung sakali man ang resulta ng investigasyon is not favorable sa inyo, at least sasabihin ninyo the investigation is fair. So I always, the crime scene is always open for the NBI to take cognizance, and nandun po palagi yung aming crime lab, which is a separate unit which is not under my supervision and control po, to take cognizance sa crime scene. Yun po yung nangyari po sa Cebu. And I am very sorry in behalf of my men na nagkamali sa inyo. I'm very sorry. But I cannot control all of them. Lahat sila trained police officer. Alam nilang rules of engagement. But alam mo, once you are in the ground, you will always use your discretion. Hindi mo yan talaga, instinct yan ng tao, discretion. At nakita ko rin naman na ginamit na nagkakamali. Inaamin ko may nagkakamali. Pero pinagbibigyan ko kung saan nyo gusto mag-file ng case, pinagbibigyan ko, hinahayaan ko. At lahat po yan na-process ang crime scene, which is not under my control ang crime scene. Separate unit mo humahawak yan. Then I am sorry to all victims kung hindi ko na-investigahan isa-isa yung case nyo.
Okay, salamat Colonel Garma.
Mr. Chair,
So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I
Congressman Abante.
want to appreciate Colonel Garma for apologizing. No? But I just would like to correct her because she said a moment ago that she believes in the constitutional right of these victims. Now she is saying that they know the rules of engagement. What rules of engagement are you talking about here? The fact is this, Colonel Garma, your men, and that includes you, violated the constitutional rights of these people. Now, that is not the rules of engagement of the Philippine National Police. If that would be the rule of engagement, then this committee will amend and look at the rules of engagement because that is wrong. The rules of engagement of the police must abide with the constitutional right of every victim. Yun lang, Mr. Chair.
Okay, salamat Congressman Abante. So tapos na po yung ating pagtatanong sa ating mga pamilya ng biktima sa EJK. And with that, I'd like to thank Rise Up Philippines and Attorney Conti, Attorney Colmenares, at dito po sa ating mga pamilya ng biktima. Yes,
Salamat din po sa Quad Committee. Maari po bang i-recognize din namin yung ibang pamilya na sumama po kaninang umaga at yung iba po sa kanila ay nandirito pa ngayon para po ma-recognize lang po. Salamat
Sige po, pwede pong tumayo ang mga pamilya ng biktima. Kanina po ba sila dyan?
Opo, kayo na.
Kayo po ba'y nakakain? Meron hong pakain na pinabigay si Congressman Dan Fernandez. So maraming salamat po sa
Salamat
inyong
po.
pagpunta rito. At kung magkaroon pa ho ng isa pang pagdinig tungkol sa usapin sa EJK, ay naasahan po namin na kayo po babalik. Maraming salamat. Thank you for coming. So we will now proceed with deliberations on the affidavit submitted to the committee by General Manager Ruina Garma. So ang ating topic ngayon ay tungkol po ito dito sa affidavit na binigay ni Colonel Ruina Garma dito sa committee. We will now recognize Congressman Manuel. Please
Thank
proceed.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ilang mga questions lang din ito, Mr. Chair, since I'm sure our colleagues also have questions. Mr. Chair, we request our resource person, Colonel Garma, na basahin po yung number 8 sa kanyang pinirmahang affidavit na whose copy was distributed sa mga miyembro ng Quadcom.
Okay.
Mr.
Colonel Garma, babasahin mo ba yung kabuuan ng
Yes, Mr. Chair.
yung kabuuan?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Medyo ilang pahina po yan?
Only 3, actually 3 or 4, but I'll be quick, Mr. Chair.
Sige, please, pakibasa mo lang ang iyong sinumpaang salaysay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On September 12, 2024 and September 27, 2024, I was invited to serve as a resource speaker during the recent legislative inquiry conducted by the Joint Committee on Dangerous Drug, Public Order and Safety, Human Rights and Public Accounts of the Honorable House of Representatives regarding the investigation into the war on drugs of the previous administration. During these hearings, I was asked several questions concerning my knowledge or involvement in the deaths of 3 Chinese inmates of the Davao Penal Colony and the death of General Wesley Barayuga, all focusing on the alleged extrajudicial killings of the aforementioned individuals. I was also questioned about my relationship with the former president, as well as my career as a police officer and my tenure as the general manager of the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office. Throughout the hearings, I answered questions from the committee based on my personal knowledge. However, I did so with great apprehension as I recognized that my statements on national television could significantly endanger my life, the safety of my family, and other very close to me. After considerable reflection, I am now executing this affidavit to provide a comprehensive information to the Quadcom regarding everything I personally know about the war on drugs during the former administration. On May 2026, I received a call from the President, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, at approximately 5 a.m., instructing me to meet him at his residence in Toña Luisa, Davao City. I was already acquainted with the mayor, having served as the station commander in one of the police stations in Davao City during his tenure. During our meeting, he requested that I will locate a PNP officer or operative who is a member of the Iglesia ni Cristo, indicating that he needed someone capable of implementing the war on drugs on a national level, replicating the Davao model. The Davao model referred to the system involving payment and reward. The Davao model involves 3 levels of payment of rewards. First is the reward if the suspect is killed. Second, if is the funding of planned operations, and the third is the refund of operational expenses. Initially, I informed the President that I was unaware of any individual with those qualifications, as I had not been assigned outside of Davao City or had served in the national capacity within the PNP. However, I recalled my upperclassman Edilberto Leonardo, who was heading the Criminal Investigation Detection Group and was also a member of the Iglesia ni Cristo. I mentioned his name to the President. On the same day, a certain individual named Muking contacted me to request for the phone number of Leonardo's contact details, which I promptly provided. A week later, I learned from Arthur Narsolis via phone call that Sir Leonardo had been summoned and was instructed to proceed to the Royal Mandaya Hotel in Davao for a meeting. Leonardo informed me later that he stayed at the hotel for almost 3 days, during which the President directed him
to organize, according to Sir Leonardo, a task force which he understood as PAOK-TF. When Leonardo relayed this information, urged me to join the task force, I declined first, citing my lack of experience in handling said operations. Leonardo subsequently informed me that he had prepared a proposal routed to Bongo outlining the task force which would encompass Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. I am afraid of my life, Mr. Chair, and the life of my relatives and my friends and classmates. Leonardo subsequently informed me that he had prepared a proposal routed to Bongo confirming the task force operation which would encompass Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. He also inquired if he and his classmates could have a courtesy call with the president through Bongo for a photo opportunity. Considering this, I thought it prudent to invite also my classmates to join the courtesy call. So in the presence of Colonel Bacay, Vilela, Grijaldo, Tuzon, and Dueñas, the member of class 97 and 96 were accommodated in separate rooms at the DPWH office in Panacan, Davao City. The president did not enter our room, and I was unaware if he visited the room of class 96. After the courtesy call, Leonardo informed me that the structure of the mentioned task force would undergo changes. In June of 2016, Leonardo has transferred from Manila to assume the position of the chief of the CIDG Region 11. During the initial 3 months of the assignment, I facilitated all meetings between Leonardo and Bongo at Leonardo's request. Subsequently, they established direct communication. Leonardo informed me that he had recalled several trusted personnel, namely Lester, Romel Bactat, Rodel Servo, Palma, Peter Parungo to serve as operative for the task force. Notably, Bactat, Servo, and Palma were, for now, discharged from the police service. Romel Bactat, Servo, Palma were all former police officers stationed at the CIDG 11 office. They were discharged from the service on or about a year ago due to an operation that led to the killing of one individual. Lester Berganyo is a provide citizen, while Peter Parunga was a former detainee of CIDG due to a charge of rape that has been cleared. Romel Bactat, Servo, Palma, and Parunga were charged with the task of collecting and verifying informations provided by police officers in the field concerning arrests, deaths of individuals named in the list of drug personalities, and creating summary reports. All of these reports would then be encoded and compiled by Lester Berganyo. The compilation is thereafter elevated to Sir Leonardo, who will decide what level the arrest or killing was and its corresponding reward. Rewards were only given for killings, while for arrests only for the funding of Copland and refund for operational expenses was given. I saw how these individuals operated when I would visit my friend in CIDG 11. He conveyed that the task force would be structured differently and that he submitted a document to Bongo detailing the task force operation, including an overview of the current drug landscape in the Philippines. I was informed that the drug structure originated from Bucor, where numerous drug lords are currently incarcerated, and that it has 3 branches, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, with Peter Lim involved in the Visayas region. Once the task force became operational, I later learned that all compliance funds, refunds for operational expenses, and rewards for agents were processed through the account of Peter Parungo. Currently, Lester Berganyo maintained a comprehensive list of the drug personalities of the Philippines. Leonardo conducted briefings for all PIDEA, IG regional directors, and PNP chiefs regarding the drug situation. Additionally, if any individual died during police operations, Leonardo will report the incidents to Bongo for inclusion in the weekly report and request for refunds of operational expenses. Leonardo had final authority to determine who would be included in the list of drug personalities and to classify their threat level as well as the discretion to remove individuals from the list. Furthermore, in 2016, while I was at the CIDG office following up the appointments of my personnel, I overheard Padilla discussing drug activities at the Davao Penal Colony with Leonardo. Padilla specifically identified certain Bucor officers involved in drug trade, notably mentioning an officer named Ginto, who was subsequently killed along with other Bucor members. These are the critical facts I personally know regarding the drug war of the previous administration. I am prepared to provide additional details and information in a supplemental affidavit or during an executive session at the discretion of the committee. I affirm the truthfulness and accuracy of the above statements to assist in the investigation by the Joint Committee, Your Honors.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, SDS.
Mr. Chairman, alam mo, papasalamat ako kay Ma'am Garma. And no, alam po natin ang nararamdaman mo. Pero kaya ako umakyat, nanonood po ako sa TV, sa baba. Mukhang itong committee na to parang pinilit ka para magsalita. Kaya ka umiyak. Baka sabihin ang Quadcom pinilit ka para magsumite ng affidavit at basahin mo. Umiyak ka. So, gusto po namin kasi napakita mo talaga na kusang loob ang sasabihin mo dito sa Quadcom. Wala pong sapilitan at galing po sa puso nyo ang pagsasalita. So, kaya po ako umakyat, nasa baba ako, kausap ko yung mga ibang kasama natin. Ma'am Garma, alam ko naman po yung sitwasyon nyo. May nanonood po sa atin buong Pilipinas, lalo na sa Mindanao. Alam ko po kung ano nararamdaman nyo. Pero pakita nyo naman po, in the interest of fairness of every Filipino, pakita po natin yung fairness dito. Kung titingnan nyo po yung mukha nyo sa TV, ang analisa po namin, parang itong committee na to, which is ako na bigla, may affidavit kayo. Kaya ako po sana kung pwede, kasi hindi po naintindihan yung mga binabasa nyo, yung mga nanonood. Yung affidavit nyo, hindi po naintindihan yung mga televiewers natin. Kung kayo nandito, naintindihan nyo, pero pag nasa TV kayo, hindi nyo po naintindihan yung mga sinasabi nyo. Mr. Chair, on that note, kung pwede po, magpahinga siya, huwag siya umiyak, sabihin niya lahat in a clear reading, in a clear words. Ako po, I move sana para basahin niya ulit yung kanyang affidavit, Mr. Chairman. Salamat po.
Siguro, Miss Roina Garma, we will give you time to be composed, and we cannot blame you doon sa inyong emotion. Ako rin, nabigla din ako doon sa kasi it's a sudden turnaround, no? From the last mga hearings po natin, and suddenly we will be receiving an affidavit like this, no? Siguro malapad lang pong sabihin natin sa committee to kung somebody forces you to execute an affidavit like this, that a while ago the reason why we're asking Congressman Manuel to hold his gun, kasi nga I was able to see the affidavits, and I really wanted to read muna for a while, and 4 pages lang naman po yun. ngayon. So, nakakagulat din po yung nilalaman ng inyong affidavit dahil a complete turnaround. So, meron po bang pumilit sa inyo para i-execute itong affidavit na to?
Wala po, Mr. Chair. It took me 1 week to make some reflections po.
And what pushes you to execute?
I realize the truth will always set us free, Mr. Chair. And at least I will be able to contribute if we really want to make this country a better place to live and for our children. I think we have to do something para maibalik po yung trust sa PNP, magkaroon po ng reform sa PNP, and yung tiwala po ng mga tao, whether victims of criminals sa gobyerno.
Kanina po may sinasabi kayo na natatakot kayo sa buhay niyo at sa pamilya niyo. Saan po kayo natatakot?
Of course po, it's normal, Mr. Chair, when you speak the truth, you cannot please everyone. And it's normal to anybody to have that mixed emotion. But still, it took me 1 week to make reflections. And I realized I need to do my part po.
Dahil po ba sa relasyon niyo sa nakaraang administrasyon kay former president? Kaya po ang damdamin niyo po ay mixed emotion?
Normal lang naman bilang tao po, Mr. Chair. Pero what prevailed after a week of reflection is I always say the truth will always set me free.
We are
I want a better place, a better PNP, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Ma'am Garma, we are all on the same page. Kaya ginagawa po natin to para sa taong bayan. Maayos, yung PNP, mawala ang extrajudicial killing, yung drugs. Kaya nandito po tayo. Yung sinasabi niyo po, we are totally agree on that. Kaya gusto ko lang pong i-clear at sinagot nyo na walang pumilit, nag-meditate ka, for how many days before you prepared that affidavit na bigla nga ako ngayong Quadcom hearing na meron po kayong affidavit. So on that note, Ma'am Garma, pag-compose na po kayo, ayos na po kayo, pwede niyo po ulit basahin ang inyong affidavit. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, SDS, are we going to ask Ms. Garma to read again
Please, Mr. Chairman.
yung kanyang affidavit, no? We hope, kasi kanina medyo hindi ko rin po naiintindihan, no? Luckily, I was able to read na yung ating pong affidavit. So, siguro kung compose na po kayo, para po maintindihan, kasi napaka-importante po nito, no? Nung binabasa ko din po, medyo na-shock din po ako. So, basically, siguro, we will give you another chance para po mabasa itong affidavit as requested and moved by SDS Don Gonzales. So, now, you have the floor again, Ma'am Rowena Garma.
On September 12, 2024 and September 27, 2024, I was invited to serve as a resource person during the recent legislative inquiry conducted by the Joint Committee on
Ma'am,
Drugs.
can you put the mic a little bit closer to your mouth, please?
Yes, sir. During these hearings, I was asked several questions concerning my knowledge or involvement in the deaths of 3 Chinese inmates at the Davao Penal Colony and the death of General Wesley Barayuga, all focusing on the alleged extrajudicial killings of the aforementioned individuals. I was also questioned about my relationship with the former president, as well as my career as a police officer and my tenure as the GM of the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office. Throughout the hearings, I answered questions from the committee based on my personal knowledge. However, I did so with great apprehension as I recognized that my statements on national television could significantly endanger my life, the safety of my family, and other close to me. On May of 2016, I received a call from the then President Rodrigo Duterte at approximately 5 in the morning, instructing me to meet him at his residence in Doña Luisa, Davao City. I was already acquainted with then Mayor Duterte, having served as a station commander in one of the police stations in Davao during his tenure. During our meeting, he requested that I locate a PNP officer or operative who is a member of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, indicating that he needed someone capable of implementing the war on drugs on a national scale, replicating the Davao model. The Davao model referred to the system involving payment and rewards. The Davao model involves 3 levels of payments of rewards. The first is the reward if the suspect is killed. Second is the funding of planned operations. Third is the refund of operational expenses. Initially, I informed the President that I was unaware of any individual with those qualifications as I had not been assigned outside of Davao, nor had I served in a national capacity with the PNP. However, I recalled my upperclassman, Edilberto Leonardo, who was handling the Criminal Investigation Detection Group and was also a member of the Iglesia Ni Cristo. I mentioned his name to the President. On the same day, a certain individual named Muking contacted me by the phone to request Leonardo's contact details, which I promptly provided. A week later, I learned from Arthur Narsolis via phone call that Leonardo had been summoned and was instructed to proceed to Royal Mandaya Hotel for a meeting. Leonardo informed me that he stayed at the hotel for 3 days, during which the President directed him to organize a task force similar to PAOK-TF. When Leonardo relayed this information and urged me to join the task force, I declined, citing my lack of experience in handling such operations. Leonardo subsequently informed me that he had prepared a proposal routed through Bongo outlining the task force operations, which would encompass Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. He also inquired if he and his classmates could have a courtesy call with the President through Bongo for a photo opportunity. Considering this, I thought it would be prudent also to invite my classmates, Bakay, Vilela, Grijaldo, Tuzon, and Dueñas, to join the courtesy call. The members of Class 97 and Class 96 of PNPA were accommodated in a separate room at the TPWH office in Panacan, Davao. The President did not enter our room, and I was unaware if he visited the room of Class 96. This is 96 or not 97. After the courtesy call, Leonardo informed me that the structure of the intended task force would undergo changes. In June of 2016, Leonardo was transferred from Manila to assume the position of the Chief of the CIDG in Region 11. During the initial 3 months of this assignment, I facilitated all meetings between Leonardo and Bongo at Leonardo's request. Subsequently, they established direct communications. Leonardo informed me that he had recalled several trusted personnel, namely, I met Lester Berganyo, Romel Bactat, Rodel Serbo, Michael Palma, and Peter Parungo to serve as operatives for the task force. Notably, Romel Bactat, Rodel Serbo, and Michael Palma were all discharged as police officers. Romel Bactat and Romel Serbo, Michael Palma were all former police officers stationed at CIDG 11 office. They were discharged from service on or about a year ago due to an operation that led to the killing of one individual. Lester Berganyo is a private citizen, while Peter Parungo was a former detainee in CIDG due to a charge of rape that has been cleared. Romel Bactat, Rodel Serbo, Michael Palma, and Peter Parungo were charged with the task force of collecting, verifying informations provided by police officers in the field concerning arrests or deaths of individuals named in the list of drug personalities and creating a summary report. All of these reports would then be encoded, compiled by Lester Berganyo. The compilation is thereafter elevated to Leonardo, who will then decide what level the arrest or killing was and its corresponding reward. Rewards were only given for killings, while for arrests, only the funding of the Coplan and a refund for the expenses was given. I saw how this individual operated when I would visit the CIDG office in Region 11 to see my friend Lot Lot. He also conveyed to me that the task force would be structured differently in that he submitted a document to Bongo detailing the task force operation, including an overview of the current drug landscape in the Philippines. I was also informed that the drug structure originated from Bucor, where numerous drug lords are currently incarcerated, and that it has 3 branches, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, with Peter Lim involved in the Visayas region. Once the task force became operational, I later learned that all Copland funds, refunds for operational expenses, and rewards against for agents were processed through the bank accounts of Peter Parungo at Metrobank, BDO, and PS Bank. Concurrently, Lester Berganyo maintained a comprehensive list of the drug personalities in the Philippines. Leonardo conducted briefings for Orpidea, IG, regional directors, and PNP chiefs regarding the operations. Additionally, if any individual died during police operation, Leonardo would report the incident to Bongo for inclusion in his weekly report and request for refunds of operational expenses. Leonardo had the final authority to determine who would be included on the list of drug personalities and to classify their threat levels, as well as the discretion to remove individuals from the list. Furthermore, in 2016, while I was at the CIDG office following up on personnel appointments, I overheard Superintendent Padilla of Bucor discussing drug activities at the Davao Penal Colony with Leonardo. Padilla specifically mentioned certain Bucor officers involved in the drug trade, notably mentioning an officer named Ginto who was subsequently killed along with other Bucor members. These are the critical facts I personally know regarding the drug war of the previous administration. I am prepared to provide additional details and information in the supplemental affidavit or during an executive session at the discretion of the committee. I affirm the truthfulness and accuracy of the above statement to assist in the investigation by the Joint Committee on Dangerous Drugs, Public Order and Safety, Human Rights, and Public Accounts of the Honorable House of Representatives, the Quadcom. Mr. Chair.
Tapos na po kayo, ma'am?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So on that note, ma'am, maraming salamat ulit sa pagbasa niyo sa inyong affidavit. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman Gonzales. So the first to interpellate Colonel Garma is Congressman Raul Manuel. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm actually shocked by the contents of the affidavit. So I'll be asking clarificatory questions. I'll be focusing dun sa nabanggit na reward system, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, sa affidavit ni Colonel Garma, binanggit niya na siya ay dating pinatawag ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Nung pinatawag siya, binahagi ba yung plano na i-implement nationwide yung war on drugs? Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, nung mayor si former President Rodrigo Duterte sa Davao, implemented na doon ang war on drugs based sa kung paano natin siya ngayon napoperceive. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Chair, at least ngayon, buti po ay na-admit iyon ni Colonel Garma dahil nung nakaraang mga pagtanong po natin ay hindi pa agad din yon napuput on record dito sa komite. authorities po ngayon ay alam na po natin talaga once and for all. Mr. Chair, nung station commander si Colonel Garma, nung panahon ni former President Rodrigo Duterte as mayor, ibig sabihin po ba nun ay, given her role, isa po siya sa mga nag-implement ng war on drugs sa Davao. Tama po ba iyon, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, nag-implement po siya nun dahil kasama po siya dun sa mga na-mention kanina from NUPL, yung Davao Boys and Girls. Tama po ba, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, can I explain my answer, Mr. Chair, so that maintindihan po ni Congressman?
Sige.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Pakilapit lang po yung microphone sa inyong bibig.
This is how it works actually. Pag mag-conduct po ng police operation, kasi po ang police, if the operation po is successful and you file the case in court, you will submit a report sa City Hall monthly at nakalagay po dun na na-file po yung kaso, nakalagay din po yung IS number po, proof na na-file po yung kaso and the details of the case. And once isubmit mo to, yung operational expenses po ay nare-refund. That's 5,000 pesos per case po, per operation. Ngayon po, kung malaki po yung operation mo at kailangan mo ng operational fund, gagawa ka ng co-plan, you will also request po sa City Hall for the funding of the operation plan. Now, in case din po na nagkaroon po ng operation and subsequently po nagkaroon po ng death on the part of the suspects during a legitimate operation, meron din pong corresponding amount po na binibigay, Mr. Chair. So that is how it works po.
So, Mr. Chair, ibig sabihin ay totoo ngang merong Davao Boys and Girls na nagpatupad ng war on drugs. To confirm, Mr. Chair, tama po. Na yun yung mode of operations as described. Tama po ba? Yun yung kinakonduct, yun yung ginagawa nitong Davao Boys and Girls.
Ganun po yung sistema po ng how you will refund yung operational expenses. Kung ano po yung tawag nila at ano po yung ipinangalan ay for me it's not relevant as long as yung process on how the funds are being provided po, yun po yung ina-explain ko lang po. If that is how po ang pag-perceive, that's how it is politically described po, then that's it po.
Okay, Mr. Chair, dun sa reward system, kasi nasa affidavit din po, na nire-refund ang operational expenses, tapos may funding din para sa planned operations, ito yung co-plan, tapos may reward din kapag napatay yung suspect. Tama po ba, Mr. Chair?
Yes po, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, may nakuha po kasi tayong impormasyon, although nung mga nakaraan ay parang haka-haka lang siya, pero ngayon na nag-hold tayo ng investigations ay nakakakuha po tayo ng mga sources na pagdating po dun sa reward system ay kapag ang napatay ay isang pusher, yun yung tinatawag na level 1, tapos 50,000 ang reward. Mako-confirm po ba yun ni Colonel Garma, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, I am not so familiar po sa specific amounts, but true, there is a amount po per level. I think Colonel Leonardo can explain po kung ano yung specific amount, kapag baka magkamali po akong sasabihin na 50 nga o 100 o 1 million yun. But there is a corresponding amount per level, Mr. Chair.
Sige. Mr. Chair, sa information na nakuha natin ay merong 4 na levels. Yung level 1 ay 50K para sa pusher. Kung napatay ay pusher. Kung big time pusher naman ay yun yung level 2, 100K. Tapos kung narco-cops, narco-politicians or protectors ay 300 to 500K. Tapos kapag trader, manufacturer, chemist, yung mga ninja cops or mga financiers, yun yung level 4, 1 million yung reward kapag napatay sila. Familiar po ba yon kay Colonel Garma? Yung ganong leveling and amounts?
May amount po, Mr. Chair, from what I understand, starting 20,000 to 1 million. But I'm not familiar sa mga bracketing po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, yung 20K, yun po yung mga street level or mga small time na natatag na involved sa drug trade. Tama po ba?
Most likely kasi yun po yung pinakamaliit na amount as far as that's I know, Mr. Chair.
And to compare, Mr. Chair, yung mga napatay dun sa Davao Penal Colony ay dahil ang kanilang task di umano dun sa drug trade ay yung pagiging mga chemist. Kaya kapag ganun, level 4 sila. Kaya naging 1 million per head yung presyo, kumbaga, or yung reward para sa pagpatay sa kanila. Tas dahil 3 sila, kaya 3 million. Tama po ba, Mr. Chair?
Hindi ko po alam, Mr. Chair, hindi ko nakita kung magkano kung talagang mayroon pong na-classify sila kung anong level. Ay, hindi ko po nakita kasi.
Pero you can confirm na yung pinakamataas ay 1 million.
As far as I know, Mr. Chair.
Kaya, Mr. Chair, dun sa pag-i-implement ng war on drugs on a national level, dun sa pakikipag-usap ni Colonel Garma kay former President Rodrigo Duterte, sinabi ba niya na meron siyang layunin na yung Davao model ay i-implement sa buong bansa? May ganun po ba, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And Mr. Chair, doon sa ganitong plano ay on loop po doon ang incumbent senator na si Bongo. Tama po ba?
Mr. Chair, I didn't get the question. Kindly repeat po, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, doon sa plano na itong Davao model ay implement siya sa buong bansa. Based sa naging affidavit, gusto nating makonfirm na mayroong papel din dito si Senator Bongo. Tama po ba?
Sa aking understanding, it would appear, Mr. Chair, kasi po siya ang minimit ni Sir Leonardo.
Mr. Chair, kapag may napatay na suspect doon sa drug trade, kanino unang nire-report yung mga instances na merong napatay?
Sa ground kasi may gagawa ka ng report, Mr. Chair, spot report. And then, meron pong phone number na na-disseminate sa lahat po ng RD, PD, Chief of Police, kung saan po tinetext po yung result ng police operation. And these phone numbers are handled, hinahawakan po nung mga tao po ni Sir Leonardo.
Mr. Chair, since naging bahagi po si Colonel Garma ng War on Drugs sa Davao, familiar po ba siya or alam po ba niya kung meron ding kompetisyon sa iba't ibang mga police stations sa number ng mga napatay? Lalo na't kung meron palang reward na napatay yung isang tao as compared to inaresto lang. So meron bang ganong tipo ng competition among police stations?
Wala po, Mr. Chair, during our time.
Mr. Chair, pagdating naman sa kung paano na-incentivize yung mga iba't ibang police stations or police officers, ano po yung mga pamantayan dati para masabi na ang isang police station ay effective sa pag-conduct niya ng war on drugs?
Meron kasing sa amin nung sa Davao kasi po, it depends po kasi sa station na hinahawakan mo kasi naka-profile na po yan kung anong classification po ng drugs, kung infested po ba ng drugs yung mga barangay. So meron na pong projection po kasi meron po kami noong tinatawag na yung may baseline po kasi kami na naka-establish during that time. So projected po kung ilan ang possible arrest mo every month, Mr. Chair. But of course, dumarating din po yung point na wala ka na mahuli o sobrang baba. Depende kasi sa performance din ng patrol sa area as part of preventing po yung occurrence po ng illegal drug trade. So mamimili ka lang naman mag-ooperate ka o intensify mo ang police patrol para wala kang mahuli at hindi po matuloy mangyari ang bentahan po ng droga. You just choose between the two naman po.
Kaya Mr. Chair, yun yung tungkol sa reward system kapag may napatay na mga suspect. Kahit nga we would like to underscore na mga suspect pa lang yun. Mr. Chair, pagdating dun sa funding ng mga planned operations, sino po ang nagpa-fund ng mga ganong operasyon, yung tinatawag na co-plan batay dun sa affidavit?
What I understand pong alam ko po, pag malalaking police operation, the case operation plan ay sinasubmit po kay Sir Leonardo for funding, and I think si Sir Leonardo po maka-explain kung saan po galing ang pondo, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, sa pagkakaalam ni Colonel Garma, meron bang mga private individuals or corporations na nagbibigay din ng, kumbaga, we can say, donation para sa ganitong mga planned operations?
I'm not aware, Mr. Chair. Wala akong alam po.
Mr. Chair, pare-pareho ba yung amount na binibigay para dun sa kada operation na kinoconduct?
Hindi ko rin po alam, Mr. Chair, kaya hindi ako ang nag-evaluate ng mga co-plan. Basta ang alam ko lang, sinasubmit po sa kanya and siya po ang magpa-facilitate for the funding, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and Mr. Chair, dun sa pangatlong tipo ng itong paggamit ng pera for these plans, yung refund for operational expenses, ano-ano pong mga tipo ng expenses ito? Kasi kung nire-refund siya, ibig sabihin, meron munang nag-aabono. Ganun po ba ang sistema sa pag-conduct ng mga operations? Nag-aabono muna yung mga involved na mga police, tapos saka sila manghihingi ng refund?
I will explain further, Mr. Chair. Yung real McCoy kasi sa ground, Mr. Chair. The real talk po tayo sa ground. Talaga namang wala pong pondo talaga. Mag-aabono ka talaga. Pati by bus money, mag-aabono ang chief of police dyan para mamarkahin yan. Kung minsan nasusunog na itatakbo, wala na. Tapos wala kang mahuli, hindi mo talaga marerefund yung pera mo. So talagang abonado ang chief of police at saka mga operatiba. That is why in Davao, once successful po ang police operation na file mo ang kaso, may IS number po, proof that you filed the case, i-refund po ng 5,000 pesos yung mga expenses like photocopy, buy bus money, payment for the agent, pagkain po ng suspect pag dinala mo po sa court kasi maghihintay ka rin, tatagal ka rin sa korte. So those are the expenses which is very decent enough naman, just enough para lang maibalik at ma-refund po yung mga personal expenses na nagastos po ng chief of police o ng mga operatiba during police operation, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, dun sa mga nagpapa-refund for operational expenses, saan o kanino kinukuha yung mga pang-refund na mga amounts?
Are we referring to the national scope, Mr. Chair? My question lang, or Davao?
Sa Davao, Mr.
Davao
Chair.
noon, we have to submit the after activity report sa City Hall po. And then may pipirmahan kang voucher na ma-refund yung lahat ng expenses.
How about nung naging national na or nationwide na yung scale ng implementation ng war on drugs? Kanino din kinukuha yung refund?
Lahat po ay kay Colonel Leonardo, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so far Mr. Chair, mas yun muna yung aking mga tanong, pero so far based sa mga narinig natin hanggang ngayon Mr. Chair, inaabsorb ko pa rin talaga dahil hindi usual na marinig natin na merong nagko-confirm na meron talagang reward system, yung mga amounts ranging from yung small time pala na mga kahit inosente 20k yung presyo para sa kanila, tapos yung mga big time kumbaga tig 1 milyon bawat ulo. And from Davao ay naging massive ito hanggang sa buong bansa. Kaya naman pala ganado yung mga sangkot na mga pulis na kapag neutralization talaga ang layunin ay pumatay dahil pala ganon kalaki yung reward na kanilang makukuha, Mr. Chair. So yun muna sa ngayon. Maraming salamat.